All right, Andrew. Andrew, I appreciate you being up. I appreciate you being patient. Thank you so much. Andrew, are you at least 18? And did you disagree with what I had on the board?
Oh yeah, I'm 18 directly, and I had a couple disagreements. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, not a problem. We'll go ahead and talk, and then I'm gonna get to my callers. All right, what did you disagree with? You're gonna talk to me first, and Trell may have something to talk to you about as well. I'm gonna put 10 minutes so you can talk to me, and then you can talk to Trell. All right, Trell, be patient with me, and then I'll let you talk to Andrew next. All right, appreciate you, bro. All right, Andrew, go ahead and talk to me for 10 minutes, 30 seconds. What you got? What did you disagree with?
Okay, I just want to establish a couple things before we start. I don't support racism. I think it's a terrible thing. But you did say that reparations should go for Black Americans. Now, you said what, $100,000 per Black family? You think?
Yeah, pro Black family, Black household, sure.
Okay. Yeah, and then what my question is going to be in the future, but wait for me to finish. Is my original question is going to be why should the U.S. Be funding the blacks? And then also, I heard you make a claim that saying that slaves, built America. Now, I do agree that they did help build America through, politics and law and, the economy. Though the Africans that came in, they were now the African Americans, wouldn't even be able to work if it wasn't for the founding fathers. Our founding fathers have created the independent colonies and later what we like to call the U.S. of A. And I would just like to say that yeah, I think that reparations should not be given to the African Americans from trauma for slavery, and I would like you to tell me why you disagree.
Okay. First of all, when it comes to the founding fathers, there were 41 of them. 41 of the 55 of the founding fathers owned slaves. So that means nothing to me. But the second thing that I would say is that I already explained it earlier before. The reason why African Americans are owed reparations is because this government was complicit, or even not just complicit, but they're the ones who actually suppressed African American progress economically, socially, and politically through not just slavery, but Jim Crow, black codes, the war on drugs, and especially redlining. Redlining was the main thing that caused the wealth gap between black families and white families. And because that the government was complicit in that, and not just them, but also private industries, insurance companies, banks, etc., because they did that, because they damaged these communities, because they're the ones who damaged it, they should be the ones to fix it. And I don't see the reason why we shouldn't do that.
Okay, so just because you have a history of the blacks, like your ancestors getting, trauma, what makes you think that now the recent African Americans deserve reparations? Just because you have a history of your people doesn't mean that alternatively the newer generation deserves reparations. Just because I have sorry,
do we still see the damage of what was caused back then today?
We can see racism. We can see discrimination towards the African American community. We don't see slavery and
so the damage that was caused back then, do we still see it today?
Parts of it, not the main things like slavery and segregation.
What do you think the stereotype of black people being, or especially black men specifically, being brutish beasts who can't control themselves, where do you think that came from?
I would mostly think that the white slave owners.
Yeah, that came from slavery. So because that stereotype still exists over 200 years later, we still see the damage today, correct?
Stereotypes and discrimination, yeah, we do.
Stereotype and discrimination, yeah, we still see them today. And now, not only that, but also institutions. Like, for example, did you know that there's still like racial issues even within the healthcare system, where they believe that black people are basically stronger and have higher pain tolerance, and therefore we're less likely to get pain medication to regulate our pain. And not only that, when we do ask for that, they think that we're drug seeking because of like the crack epidemic and stuff like that. Like, so we still see the damage of discrimination still to this day, right?
Well, it's factually and historically proven that the blacks are stronger than predominantly stronger than different races.
Andrew,
it doesn't justify the hospital.
Andrew, can I just say something? Please stop saying the blacks. That makes no damn sense, bro. What the hell is
The
the
blacks,
blacks,
yeah, the
bro?
blacks represent the African Americans.
Right. So black people, correct? When
Yeah,
you
but the blacks is a term, not
no no
not
no
just
the
derogatory term.
no, it is because it makes us feel it basically others us as things and not actual people. So just say black people instead of saying the
Well,
blacks.
like they say the blacks, the whites, they say they all say it. It's
All
not a
right, and
derogatory
in
term.
my life, I don't say the whites. I say white people. I don't say the blacks. I say black people. I don't say the Asians. I say Asian. I say Asian people because the in front of it others us as an object, not as a group.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah. Well, that's a mutual and retrospect situation, not a commonly and historically proven derogatory term.
right. So it's derogatory when you use it here. So it's just stop using the blacks and say black people. And it's not been proven
Okay,
that
yeah. If
black
we want to,
people it's not been proven that black people have a higher pain tolerance than white people. That's not proven.
well, I didn't say pain tolerance. I said athletics. When you see the basketball community, African Americans are
Dominant. Yeah, exactly.
predominantly.
Because like people of West African descent, we just build muscle easier. That's all good and well. But we when it
So
comes to
yeah,
yeah, so but when it comes to our treatment in hospitals, when we treat it like we're drug seeking or we're treating it as unruly or not knowing what we're talking about or women's pain are ignored, these are all issues that we need to resolve, right? And all this came from slavery.
yeah. I don't know if you heard me earlier. I said that African Americans are predominantly stronger, but I didn't think it justified that whole health issue that you induced.
Right, right. So what I'm saying is that when we take a look at these things, when we take a look at employment, real estate, healthcare, all these things damage African Americans socially and economically, right? So why shouldn't all that be addressed so we can fix it?
Well, if we look down at the history, African Americans were obviously seen as not even real humans. I guess they were just seen as slave laborers, right?
Correct.
So after some of them escaped, and if you don't believe me, I would like you to prove me this wrong again. They had to flee, and as they had to flee, they couldn't work real normal jobs, so they had to steal, and they had to provide for their family, right?
No,
No,
no.
can you prove me wrong on that?
Yeah, because when we look at the thousands of lynchings that were going on with black people around that time, it wasn't about stealing or anything like that. It was like stupid stuff like looking at a white woman and scaring her. It wasn't
Yeah,
about stealing.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that the reason that African Americans were stereotyped. This is why it came later on. I know that again, if you that's
No,
what happened with segregation.
that actually happened directly after slavery that they were stereotyped as criminals. It wasn't even like a little while later where black people had to steal. They just called them. Matter of fact, even during slavery, they said that black people were thieves and lascivious and couldn't control their lustful emotions and stuff like that. That was a thing during slavery, not even after it. It was during slavery.
Yeah, I never claimed that during slavery that the slaves weren't uh, insulted or weren't discriminated and segregated. What I was saying was that because of the African American slave laborers, when they had to escape to get their freedom again, let's just make this establish this. I didn't support slavery. I don't think it was a good thing. I don't think racism is a good thing. But what I'm saying is they did have to steal because they couldn't work a real job, or then their identity would have been released, and then they would have been found. So they knew they had to steal, and I can't blame them for stealing. Sure, it wasn't right, but I think it's a little bit justified. Now, as they did that, it's from generational length. It was taught, and that's why you see a lot of things like in uh, African American communities, especially in Chicago. If you can fact this on, and this isn't just supposed to attack your race. I
But
really like the African American
right,
people.
right. So Andrew, what I'm saying is that what you're saying is basically like pseudo history, right? That's not what happened. This entire thing of African Americans having a criminal stereotype, it didn't start after slavery. It started within slavery in of itself. You know what I mean? Saying that black people are most likely to steal, are going to be lustful and can't control their loins around women or around white women specifically, et cetera, et cetera. It happened during slavery. It wasn't that that after slavery, black people couldn't work, so they had to steal, and that's how the stereotype came about. It came about during slavery. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
It
sure.
did come during
Yeah,
slavery.
yeah, sure. After slavery, there were poor people out there who had to steal, right? But like, what I'm saying is that the black people who did steal because they couldn't afford anything, or anything like that, that was already a stereotype put on them. That stereotype didn't exist after slavery, except it existed during, before, and during slavery. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't like after slavery black people couldn't work, therefore they all stole, therefore the stereotype. No, it wasn't like that.
Yeah. So what you said basically is I do believe it came during, and I also became it linked on after. But what you said is that there were some people, that poor slave laborers that had to steal. And my question is, what makes any slave laborer any more value? They didn't get paid. They were, some of them did, in very rare occasions. Some got paid, but
What do you
they
mean
all
by
didn't
that?
get paid. So all of them.
What do you mean by that?
You said what you claimed that there were some slave laborers that were poor that had to steal, but all of them did. I mean, there's some, not all of them, but a very big majority, because they didn't get paid. They were taken from ships from their African leaders who sent them, and in the triangular exchange through Europe and America and Africa. They were all
I'm
poor. They
I'm
didn't get
I'm
paid
kind I'm kind of lost on what you mean. You're talking about during slavery, black people were stealing things. I'm not sure what you mean.
after they escaped. Yeah.
Oh, like in the during the Underground Railroad. Nah, like they knew how to till the land and everything like that. They were able to grow their own food.
Yeah, I didn't say they weren't able to grow their own food, but they weren't able to work real jobs to get paid. How would they have got paid?
No, they were working the docks and everything like that. That's what happened. Matter of fact, this is one of the reasons why the Irish became racist against us, because we were working on the docks in New York City after the Underground Railroad and up north and stuff like that. This is how like the Irish community started to become racist against us, because up in like Detroit and Philadelphia, well, not Philadelphia, but up in New York and places like that, black people were working the docks, or were working in like low wage jobs that the Irish were usually working at. And because of white supremacy, they were encouraged to be racist against us. But and yeah, in hotels and stuff like that, as stuff like that. So that's where that came from. They were working. As a matter of fact, one of the big issues that caused Bleed in Kansas is the people who wanted to keep slavery were afraid that black people were going to take their jobs. A lot of shit that we're hearing today against immigrants. You know what I mean? But that's 10 minutes for me. Trell, did you have anything for Andrew? Trell?
I mean, like she. It's like a lot of it is really off the mark. A lot of it, like before we even get into like the actual argument, because that's why I want to get into like the argument for like reparations. We
Mm-hmm.
gotta get like facts straight. Like we gotta agree on something before we get into like the meats and potatoes and stuff. It's
I did
like
agree.
I mean, so what is your true argument like for why you don't think we deserve reparations? Like, what's the like? Because you kind of went like, what's the real?
Yeah, we never got into that. What is your
You get what
real
I'm saying? Like,
beef
what's
with reparations?
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think topic got a little bit pivoted, and
That's what I mean. Like, what you know? Let's get into that. Like, I'm
yeah,
playing a game and I just been listening. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out like what's the
What are you
real, so we can talk about that.
exactly? Why are you really against reparations? Because you just say, oh, you think that we don't deserve it, but I've already like given the reason why African Americans should get reparations, because the government suppressed their economic and political potential, and along with private companies, through government policies, through terror, what I mean, through things like that. So if the government was involved in damaging the African American community, why shouldn't they fix it?
yeah. So again, I think when we're going to the generational links of the criminal activity that went on, and you were trying to claim that they worked at docks and the hotels and all of that. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. I guarantee you there were some slavers that worked, but if we look at the point
Bro,
that
that's irrelevant. Hold on,
did,
Andrew. This is what I want to say. That's
it is
irrelevant.
irrelevant. I'm trying to connect it.
Right.
I'm trying to link it.
But nothing is linked here. African Americans were damaged by the government in this country. Why shouldn't that be fixed?
Well, because they were racially stereotyped.
So
They were racially stereotyped, and because of what they did after. So there was no trust. There wasn't any trust, and
okay, so
it doesn't
Andrew, let me
directly
understand it. So Andrew, let me understand this. So because African Americans were unfairly stereotyped, they shouldn't get reparations. That sounds crazy.
what wasn't unfairly. And again, that wasn't my whole point. It wasn't just all about stereotypes.
I'm trying to get to exactly what you mean. African
Do
Americans
you
should.
get why I asked that question?
Yeah, I do get why you asked that
Because
question,
like,
Trill.
what are we really?
What are we talking about? All right, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere, bro. I ain't gonna lie, Trill. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere, man. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere.
That's
All
why
right.
I didn't entertain it. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't entertain it, because I'm like, okay, what are we really? Because like, why are you like with the history of like, yeah, but they did steal, but then they didn't, and then when you think about it, they had a reason to steal, but you can't blame people for calling them thieves for having a reason to steal, and they were
Crazy.
stealing after slave. I'm like, wait, like what? So
What are we
like,
talking about?
How are we linking this to why you think they don't deserve reparations? Because basically, your argument then boils down to, okay, like based off of her like fallacious history or revisionist history that she was taught in like some Texas town. I don't know. But basically, what the argument boils down to is like, okay, after slavery, we were given terrible conditions. So we had to be every stereotype in the book. But she doesn't blame us for being a stereotype. But she also doesn't blame us for being punished for those stereotypes. Therefore, we don't deserve reparations.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. All right,
Because
so
see, like technically, you were that. Like,
yeah, exactly. All right, so